Hello, my name is Kirsten, and I wanted to talk about all of the books I read this year and what I rated them. So this year was actually a pretty good year for me as far as reading goes. I started getting into audiobooks, which helped, so it helped me get closer to my reading goal, which I am so happy about. I still didn't meet my reading goal, but I got closer. And so I just read a lot this year and listened a lot this year, and that was great. To be warned, I'm going to talk about the books I read and my Goodreads rating. I'm generous with 5 stars. I don't know if that makes me a bad book reader or not, but I'm just easily entertained, I guess. But I did kind of form a critical mind, I guess, towards reading in the past few years, especially after watching Pierre Ford. She was a book talker. She doesn't really make much book content anymore. She's got other creative endeavors, but after watching her videos for so long, I just developed like a different way of reading books and viewing books and how they impact me and what I enjoy and what I read next. So I still am kind of generous with my 5 stars because I just love books, but I also have standards for reading now. So let's jump into it. The first book that I read this year was The Black Witch, and I don't remember anything from it. I read it up in January. It wasn't very memorable to me. I'm actually going to look up the synopsis for it right now to try and jog my memory because I don't actually remember any of it. Let's see. A new Black Witch will rise. Her power is vast beyond imagining. Ellerin Gardner is the granddaughter of the last prophesied Black Witch. I think that she was in a school. I don't remember anything from this book. I gave it 2 stars. Oh, I hate it being that low. But it got 2 stars for me. I didn't really remember it much. So that was The Black Witch by Laurie Forrest. That's okay. And then I wanted to read the next book in the Atlas 6 series, The Atlas Paradox. And I read the Atlas 6 so long ago, I didn't remember really anything that happened in it. So I reread the Atlas 6 and I gave it 4 stars. And I also gave the Atlas Paradox 4 stars. I really liked those books. The second one I think I liked better. But some of that, like the magic systems and how smart Olivia Blake is, would just like, it's so hard for me to follow. Like the physics and the magic and how it's like based in science. That was just really hard for me. They both got 4 stars. They were really good reads. I probably will reread them in the next like section of the books that are coming out just because it's so dense that it requires me to have a fresh mind about it, essentially. And then I went through because Chain of Thorns was coming out and I was like, I gotta reread all of these books, but I started back at Clockwork Angel with their parents because those books I just love so much. Will, Jim, and Tessa are my babies. I gave all of them 5 stars, so Angel, Princess, Prince, Clockwork, all of those got 5 stars, and then Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, Chain of Thorns all got 5 stars for me. I just love them. I love them, and they were actually really good. The last one was so sad. It was so sad. It was so heartbreaking. I just feel so personally victimized by Cassie Clare with that ending, but it's fine. The next book I read was, oh my gosh, I hate admitting that I read this. King of Wrath by Anna Hong, I think. Anna Hong. I hated that book. I gave it 3 stars, and I'm surprised, like, looking back that I gave it so many stars, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it because it wasn't that good. The next book I read was called The Cross and the Switchblade by David Wilkerson, which is actually really good. It's about this guy who sees a news article about these teenagers who are in prison, and he wanted to just get to know them and share the gospel with them. And it's really interesting. It was really, like, the book is literally this tall and this long. So I think I read it in a day, and it was really good. I really enjoyed the story, and I enjoyed the detail that he went into, and I think his, like, foster or his program is still in effect today, and it's really, really good for kids who are in, like, the juvenile detention centers and things like that. So it was really good. And then I read this book, Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, and absolutely hated it. It was probably the worst book I've ever read. I I ended up about halfway through hate reading it because I couldn't not finish it. I just have like, you've got to read it. And I'm going to put a review in that I read that just explains my feelings about it perfectly. I just hated the main male character. He didn't have a good personality. The two main characters didn't have any good chemistry. It was just bad. It was just a bad book. And I gave it 2 stars because it was a book and it got published. And that was it. I did not like it. I thought it was so bad. So that was Hook, Line, and Sinker. I just thought it was a horribly written book. Moving on. The next book I read was The Shadow Crown. A Shadow Crown? I don't know. I'll have a picture of it. And I liked it, but I had a hard time keeping up with the magic system and the world building of like the classes of who was what and who was important to who, and like what being like an elf meant in their world. I just had a hard time keeping up with the ranking of the class system, and that was hard for me to get through. But I gave it 4 stars. It was a good fantasy. And then I read this book called If You Leave Me, and it was one that my cousin recommended for me to read. And I need to remember which war this was from because it was really good. It was very sad. It's by Crystal Hannah Kim. This is a historical fiction novel that takes place during the Korean War and focuses on the life of a refugee, Hame Lee, and her family. It was really good. It was really sad. I knew it took place during a war. I just couldn't remember which one, but it makes sense that it was the Korean War. It was really good. And I'm going to say it again. It was really sad. I think I read it in like 2 days, and it was very impactful, but very, very hard to read. So I enjoyed it. And it got 5 stars for me, so pretty good. And then I was on an Olivia Blake click. Hello? And then I was on an Olivia Blake kick. I just was like, I have to read everything she's ever written. So I read One for My Enemy, which I believe is the Romeo and Juliet retelling, and I liked it. The like witchy aspect of it kind of threw me, and the main characters, I don't think the love interest had that much chemistry. It was still good though. I gave it 3 stars, so I guess I didn't like it that much. It was good though. And then I read A Shadow in the Glass, and I need to remind, I probably should have done this before I started recording, but I can't remember these books. It's a retelling, really, but basically this girl gets like a fairy godmother, and she gets 3 wishes, but all of her wishes are fulfilled in a dark way. So if she asks for something, then someone else has to die for her to get it. And it was really good. I think I remember liking it while reading it, but it was kind of a drag. It was really sad, and the main character's inner monologue, I think, was just kind of irritating. So it got 3 stars. I gave it 3 stars because I think that I just didn't care for her, the main character, and her motivations and stuff. I just think I didn't like it. And then I read this book called Raised to Stay, and I had read it because I've been following this girl on Instagram for a while. And basically, if you've ever worked at a church or been in a church and have church hurt or church trauma, she talks about how to handle that gracefully if you want to stay in church. And I really enjoyed it. It was really healing. Some of the things that she wrote hit really close to home, and I really liked it. It was really good. I gave it 5 stars. No, I gave it 4 stars. I don't know why I did that, but I really liked it. And then, of course, another Olivia Blake, I read Alone with You in the Ether, which was really good. It took me by surprise. I had a hard time reading it because the main female character was just so annoying to me. But then I read the ending and kind of like the acknowledgments, and she talked about how she wrote a character with or multiple personality disorder, and that made the book make more sense. And so I think I need to reread it knowing that now. I gave it 4 stars. It was a beautiful love story. Again, she is so smart and does her research, because a lot of this stuff scientifically went over my head. I had no idea what she was talking about, but it was good. And then I made the mistake of reading more Anna Huang books. Oh my god, they were so bad. I read Twisted Love and Twisted Games while I was on vacation in Colorado, and I just hated every single second of it. Twisted Love, I gave 2 stars. Twisted Games, I think I liked just incrementally better because it got 3 stars. What does not do it for me is a possessive male lead that, from his point of view, we're watching him lust after this girl. Like, there's no romance. It's not romantic at all. He's just lusting after her and thinks that she's his property. And I hate that. I hate that so much. It just does not work for me. Oh, I hated it. It was so bad. It fills me with rage that people are reading this, like women are reading this and enjoying it, which I can't judge people's tastes, and I'm not going to, kind of. But it just doesn't do it for me. I am not a I don't know. If he's morally gray in real life, like if there's no fantasy element involved, I just don't care. I think the stakes aren't high enough. And I've said this before in a TikTok video, like normal romance just doesn't do it for me, I think, or didn't do it for me because the stakes aren't high enough. Like the problems that they're having don't matter. Like, I don't know. I just hated those 2 books. I thought they were so bad. They were so bad. And then Fourth Wing came around and changed everything. And I know this book is so polarizing in the book community. You either love it or you hate it. You think it's the best thing since sliced bread, or you hate it. And I loved it. It was a really good, refreshing fantasy for me. I liked the stakes. It reminded me a lot of Throne of Glass and kind of picking up from your bootstraps and doing the hard work whenever you're limited. I love that. And I love the dragons. I thought that was fun. It was a cool twist. I don't think I've read a dragon book before other than... No, I don't know. I don't think I've read a dragon book before. So I really liked that aspect of it. It got 5 stars for me because it was so good. And then I read The Night and Its Moon, and I gave it 2 stars because it was so boring. Nothing happened for 70% of the book. I was so bored. Oh my God, I hated it. I don't have anything to say about it. And then for work, we had to read this book called An Invitation into Solitude. Solitude and Silence, and that got 5 stars for me. It was really good, like practices on meditation and spending time with God and praying and just being in silent moments and how important that is. I really liked it. It was really good. And then I read Lies We Sing to the Sea. I had read this because Piera, who I mentioned earlier, read it, and it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It felt like I was missing something, like I missed out on why people liked it so much. I think it just wasn't going in any direction I thought it would. The next book I read was Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I have never really liked a V.E. Schwab book before. I tried reading one of her books and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. So I read Gallant, which is kind of like a creepy mystery thriller. And it was really slow in the beginning, and then like 50% of the way in it picked up, and it was really, really good. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And so I liked it. I gave it 4 stars because once it kind of got to that halfway point, I started liking it, and it picked up super well. So Gallant got 4 stars for me. The next book I read it was my first audiobook that I listened to. I finally got Audible, and I decided that I wanted to listen to an audiobook, and so I picked I Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Fantastic. I gave it 4 stars, and I think I left a star off just because it was so graphic, and there were some points when I was in the car, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so uncomfortable and gross, which is the point, it's her story, it's her life, and that just is what her experience was, but it made me get secondhand embarrassment, so I didn't get a star for that. But it was really good. I really recommend it. It's narrated by Jeanette McCurdy, which I just think makes it so much more of a better experience. So yeah, I really, really liked that. The next book I read was Stop Calling Me Beautiful, which I really liked. I've been following this other girl, and she posts stuff about women in church and women knowing theological things. And so this book was about how to preach to women and things that women should learn in the church, because it was really good. If you are a female and a Christian, you should read this book. Stop Calling Me Beautiful. The next book I read was Lisa from the Alpha Line by Rachel Blake, who is actually a family friend of mine. I have a signed copy, so when this book blows up, I will have the goods. This book was really good. It's a debut novel, and I know she's been working on this for years. I know that it's been kind of a heart project of hers for a while, and so it was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. It was very fast-paced. I didn't want to put it down because I felt like I needed to know the next thing that was going to happen. And so it was really, really, really good, fast-paced. If you need something to kind of get you out of a reading slump, that's quick and fantasy and fun, I would read Lisa of the Alpha Line. I gave it 4 stars. And then I read The Book of Night by Holly Black. Confession, don't know why people like the Cruel Prince trilogy. It was just kind of boring to me. And so was The Book of Night. I gave it 3 stars. And as I was like thinking about this, I was remembering the plot. And I liked the plot. I liked the idea of the plot. I just didn't like the execution of the plot. It was okay. And then I read The Vanishing Half, which was really, really good. It was really interesting. It was very sad. I really liked reading this book. It was a good break from all of the fantasy that I was reading. And I just really enjoyed this book. It was in my TBR for years. I bought it at a bookstore like 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I don't even remember. It's been sitting in my bookshelf forever, and I just haven't read it. So I'm glad I finally picked it up, and I read it in like 2 days, I think, and I gave it 4 stars. It was really, really good. And then I reread A Court of Silver Flames because I was going through a hard time, and I just needed Cassian to tell me that I could do hard things. And I needed Nesta to show me that I could do hard things. And I love it. I gave it 4 stars. On my Goodreads review, my only comment was, what was that ending, with a bunch of question marks, which is really funny to me. I don't remember the ending. I don't remember what happened, but it was really funny that was my, like, because I don't leave Goodreads reviews, like, with words. I just do the stars. And so it was funny that was my review. So I read A Court of Silver Flames. 4 stars. Is so good. And then I listened to the Office BFFs. I've been listening to their podcast forever. I love it. I love them. I think they're so silly and funny and cute, and I give it 5 stars. It's also narrated by them, which was really fun and cute and silly. And I was like audibly laughing at certain things and then crying at certain things. It was really good. I really liked it. My next book was Divine Rivals, and looking back on it, I gave it 3 stars. I actually gave it 5 stars on Goodreads, and then I just changed it to 3 stars because I didn't think it was that spectacular. It was good, but I was just kind of bored and waiting for it to be done when I was reading it. I wish that there was more suspense or mystery, or I don't know. It was okay. And then I read Good Boundaries and Goodbyes, which is really good if you need a book about like taking care of yourself and like figuring out how to be in relationships with people and having good boundaries, or setting a boundary with someone you're not in a good relationship with. It was really good. I learned a lot reading it, and I gave it 5 stars. And then I read Night of the Witch, which was okay. It kind of just felt like the same witch hunter book I've read before. It was a little insta-levy, I think, for me. So it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I wouldn't read it again or read like the next one in the series if it's a series, but whatever. And then I read Practice Makes Perfect, and I feel like it's that song from Waitress where she's like, what if when he sees me, I like him and he knows it. That's what that book feels like for me. Like, I had given up on romance. It's like, I'm never going to read a romance again. I don't even know what made me pick this book up, but I read it, and it was so, oh my gosh, it was so good. It was like a dual point of view, and so I loved reading Will, the male point of view's version of the story, because he was falling in love with her as like a person and not for her body or for sex or, oh my god, it was so good. This is my favorite book I've read all year, and it was a romance. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh, it was so good. I gave it 5 stars immediately, and I was like, I can't shut up about how much I loved this book. It was so good. Oh my god, I loved it. Sarah Adams is a goddess. I don't know where she came from, or like, she's just amazing, and I would read anything from her. Literally, it was so good. It was just so beautiful. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I could talk about it all day long. And I was listening at the same time to The Overdue Life of Amy Byler on audio, and that book was just kind of annoying to me. I have never been in the middle of a divorce, so I don't relate to the main character at all. But she was so annoying. She was just like battling with divorce guilt and mom guilt, and I couldn't handle it. I don't know, she just couldn't make decisions. She was really indecisive, and so I gave it 1 star. I've never given a book 1 star before. But I did. I just didn't like it. I was just sitting in the car listening to her complain about her life, and I could not handle it. It was really annoying. So I gave The Overdue Life of Amy Byler 1 star. And then I read Swordcatcher by Cassie Clare, and I didn't keep up with this book at all, like on her social media when she would post about it, because I frankly didn't care about anything from her other than Shadowhunters. But I went into Books A Million one day and I saw it, and it was like a magnet drew me to it, and I picked it up and I bought it, and I walked out of Books A Million and I was like, what just happened? It was okay. It was kind of like reading Crescent City, you know, whenever you're having to learn a whole new world, and that was hard. And I feel like it didn't pick up until like 70% maybe. I have a book review about it on Instagram, but it was okay. I love Cassie Clare's intimate friendships, and there weren't those in this book, and that was hard for me. I just love reading like the besties, and there weren't besties. There were like friends, but they just weren't, like, the emotional turmoil and bonding wasn't there with them. So I gave it 3 stars. I will continue reading it. I've caved because I just love paying Cassie Clare's bills, but it was okay. You know, I will be a Shadowhunter fan until I die, and I love Cassie, so I'm gonna read her books. So Swordcatcher got 3. And then I read The Flat Share. So I was kind of, after reading Practice Makes Perfect, I snowballed into a romance fixation where the main characters weren't creepy and weird and possessive. It was really cute. The concept is really cute. Like, they have to share a bed, but they live there at different times. The only thing that was really weird for me was the main male character spoke in like fragmented sentences, and my brain was like auto-filling in the spaces where he was supposed to say words, like filler words, and he didn't, and that was hard for me. And that was the only reason I gave it 4 stars, was his point of view was hard to read. But it was a cute book. I really liked it. And then for my birthday, we went to a book festival, and I picked up Late Bloomers. And I gave that 4 stars. It was really interesting. It was a good contemporary fiction novel, and I loved it. It was really easy to read, super simple, but really good. I really liked it. And then I was like, I have to read everything Sarah Adams has ever written. So I read The Cheat Sheet, which was so cute. When I think about it, it makes me want to giggle, like, because it's super sporty football player and a beautiful ballerina, and his like himbo football players friends are creating a cheat sheet on how to get him to get the girl, and they're just 2 idiot best friends in love with each other. Oh, it's so cute. The miscommunication trope, when it's done well, and Sarah Adams does everything well. So The Cheat Sheet got 5 stars for me. I was listening to Everyone Here Is Lying on audio, and this is when my dislike for mysteries, I think, came into play. I didn't like the ending, and this is a trend you'll see in the mysteries that I've read following this book. It just wasn't, I don't know, the ending, I was just kind of like, why did it go in that direction? And I think I maybe get mad because I think I can figure it out and then I don't, but it was okay. I gave it 3 stars just because, I don't know, it was a good audio like book, but it was okay. And then I read Iron Flame, which I still have so many conflicting feelings about. It was so good and so bad at the same time. Like, the miscommunication trope in other books is good. The miscommunication trope in this book is just irritating. Like, if Xaden and Violet don't talk to each other for real, I'm gonna scream and I'm gonna give up. And I have so many thoughts and so many theories about this series and where it could go, and I don't have time to talk about that right now because it's almost 10 p.m. Like, I have so many thoughts about that book, and it was awful. But it was so good, too. Confusing. So, Iron Flame got 3 stars for me. It was okay. And then I was listening to The Way I Used to Be on audio, and I did not like this one either. I just didn't like a lot of books I read this year. I just didn't really relate. I didn't relate to the main character for several reasons. The main reason being I've never experienced what she experienced, and so I don't know what my emotional reaction would be to that. And so I understand that, and I know that. Like, I've never experienced that, and so I don't know how I would be after. But it was so unhappy. And it's like the last 10 pages of the book you get a resolution, and that I don't like books like that. So I didn't really like this book. I have it in a physical copy, but I just never read it, and so I tried it on audio, and it was okay. I won't read the other one just because I don't care about this girl and her story. So I don't know. I didn't like it. It was just kind of okay. And then I read When in Rome, which is actually the first book for Practice Makes Perfect in that like universe, because romance novels do that. It was as good as Practice Makes Perfect. I think I love Practice Makes Perfect more because it's the first one I read, but When in Rome was cute too, and it got 5 stars for me. And then I read The Summer of Broken Rules, which is okay. Really insta-lovey, but I love the concept of like being at a wedding and a large game of like assassin play like going on. That would be so fun, and I wish I was doing that. I love the concept. I just wish they had taken more time to get to know each other. And then I read The Perfect Marriage, and I was so angry when I finished that book. I was infuriated because what is the point of writing that book? What was the point? Why did I read all of that for it to end that way? It got 2 stars from me, and I hated it. I didn't like a single thing about it. It was really bad. It was really bad. That was a bad book. Then, to make things better, we're just going up and down here. I listened to Talking to Strangers on audio by Malcolm Gladwell, and it was really good. It's very educational, very inspiring, and as Phoebe, the girl who recommended it to me, put it, I feel like a hot girl who knows things. It was really, like, it just spurs introspection. It was really good. I highly recommend reading it. I can't even explain what it's about because it's about a lot. But the baseline is, like, how do we talk to people and how do we interact with strangers when we don't know everything about them? Like, we think we know things about them, but that cannot be true based on our preconceived notions. It's a lot. It was really good, though. And then, oh my gosh, I made the mistake of reading a book simply for the trope, and I will never do that again. I tried reading The Nanny, and I was there for the trope only. Okay, single dad with a nanny. The lines are crossed. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. The main characters had no, like, chemistry at all. It just felt bland. The banter felt bland, and I just wasn't enjoying it. I think I didn't DNF'd it, but it still counts. I gave it 2 stars. It was okay. I just didn't love it. It was not good. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. There was, like, no angst. There was no single dad angst. There was no, like, pining and longing. It was just not good. I didn't like it, so I gave it 2 stars. And then I read Love Light Farms. That was really cute. I really liked it. Besties, fake dating, falling in love. It was really, really sweet. I liked it a lot, and that got 4 stars for me. It was really cute. And I listened to ACOTAR on audio just because I needed a refresher. I needed to read it again, especially since we're getting the next book next month, I think. So I needed to be like, okay, what is the history here? Because when I was reading A Court of Silver Flames, I was like, I don't remember these politics. I'm re-listening to it on audio, and I gave it 5 stars. I don't want to talk about it. And then I read In the Weeds, which is the second part of Love Light Farms. It's a new love story. And I usually hate, like, pet names, especially Honey. But I have never read a more perfect couple for the guy to call the girl Honey. It was so cute. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. This book, I didn't love it as much as Love Light Farms, though. And so I gave it 3 stars because, and I felt the same way in Love Light Farms, I feel like the author, like, gives you something, gives you a little something, and then she backs out of the plot line. And you're kind of like, okay, where did that go? But other than that, it was really sweet. It was really cute. It's like Sunshine Girl and Grumpy Guy, and it was fun and sweet and cute. But I just felt like there could have been more depth, you know? So those are all the books I read. I'm currently listening to A Court of Mist and Fury on audio, and I'm doing the graphic audio where it has like a full cast and sound effects, which is a really, really cool listening experience. But I can't tell the difference between the men's voices. So whenever like Reese, Cassian, and Azriel are all like conversing, I don't know who's talking, which is confusing. But it's really good. It's a cool way to listen to the audiobook. And then next up on my TBR is Icebreaker. I'm gonna try it. I have a feeling I'm not gonna like it. I got 10 pages into Icebreaker and put it down because what is that writing? That was so bad. No, I didn't finish it. And then a book that I got in my blind date with a book, it's called Kagan the Damned. And I'm excited to read that. It's fantasy. I also got into that book and put it down because in the first like 5 chapters, there's like a battle scene. This like palace is being taken over, and the guy who's narrating is talking about all of these women being brutally killed and then like their bodies being taken advantage of. And I just didn't want to read about that much. And it just kind of felt weird that was in the book so much within the first 5 chapters. And I just felt weird about it. So I didn't finish that one either. I haven't seen it on any sort of like TikTok platforms, so my phone died. Go figure. But I'm listening to A Court of Mist and Fury with the graphic audio. I'm about to start Icebreaker. So that was my 2023 reads for the year, and I'm really excited about this year of reading and becoming a book content creator. Even if no one sees this or watches this far, it's been really fun to do. I love talking about books, and that's my goal, is to just talk about books. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I make a lot more stuff on my Instagram and TikTok, and I'll have that linked below, which sounds so weird to say because I am in no way a content creator, like a professional content creator for this type of thing. I just did this because I love it and it's fun. So yeah, that was my 2023 book review / star rating for everything I read.